Hello, beautiful and handsome viewers of Gerson Media. This is yet another wonderful edition of Community Inside again. And just a quick reminder, Community Inside is a talk show where we bring to you social talking points. Yes, you heard me correctly, social talking points. And today we are going to be handling to sex education. Yes, sex education be taught at home. Yes, we have many conspiracy theories when it comes to sex education. People don't want to talk about this. So, here at Gerson Media, we are bringing it to you why you should feel comfortable discussing about the sexual organ and everything that has to do about it. I'm riding on to the bone of contention, which is should sex education be taught at home. Emma, what can you say about this?
On my own opinion, I think sex education should be taught at home.
Really? But why? Why should we discuss comfortably about sex? I mean, what can you say about this?
Well, like I said, I think it should be taught at home because why? Growing up as a young girl,
Alright.
some people like I will take myself for example.
Okay.
I had to start seeing my flow. That's my flow, my menstrual flow at the age of 13, which
Okay.
was so I saw it
Okay,
as something
very scary, very
yes,
frightful.
because I was young. I said, what's this? If my mom was not there to guide me, to educate me about it, I would not know how to go about handling such situation. So I think it's very necessary for sex education to be taught at home because they guide you on how to control your cycle. I mean, you know when it has to start, when it finishes, and you know your safe and unsafe periods.
All right. Then, just in line, sex education discourages abstinence only education. Most of the time, parents will just tell children, okay, stay away from sex. That's it, abstain from it. But there's something lacking, there is this gap, there is this emptiness. These children feel when you just tell them, abstain from it. But when you put your child down, discuss about sexual education, what it means, what entails about it. It gets them very comfortable when you put their children down and just like tell them that okay, stay away from sex because it's bad. It's vague, it's empty. But once you educate them into details, telling them about what it's all about, okay, because giving the developmental stage, the adolescence age, after they are beginning to experience some biological changes, like for the girls, start developing breasts, pubic hairs, and all the rest, they become very uncomfortable and sometimes they feel very disgusted about it. So, as a parent, if you have kids at home, you always have to tell them that, okay, Mary, Emma, it's normal to have these parts, it's normal to develop these organs, it's normal to have this on your body. You don't have to be scared. It's better than just telling them that, okay, fine, abstain from it. Abstain from it because
something bad.
not because something bad. Some parents just tell them that, okay, I have an experience whereby a girl walked up to her mom and was like, okay, mom, why is it that sex is all bad? Why do you go talk about sex? Why is it so negative? The reaction of the mother was so discouraging. It was just like they said, I said a taboo or something. The child collected a very dirty slap from the mother because just mentioning the word sex, and which is not very comfortable viewers. That is not actually something we should do to our kids. It's very normal to discuss sex education and very important to teach these children what it is because
I'm sorry to get you.
no, it's fine, very fine.
If you have to educate your children about sex education,
Okay.
it makes them comfortable as every other topic is being taught in school.
Yes.
So at the age of 13, 14, you're no longer a primary school people. You should be a student by then. So when you get into secondary education, you feel you are big enough to reason certain things.
Okay.
So among peers, if you have to educate your child about sex education when they are seated among their friend zones, if they have to discuss topics on sex, the child no longer finds it uncomfortable, but you talk with boldness, knowing that you know what you are talking about. You no longer see it to be a sinful act, but something you are trying to prevent yourself from getting involved into. Yes, so parents should find the topic interesting for their own children, discuss with them, make them comfortable. They should know that sex is something they are obliged to get into at the right age. Yes, aside from this word sex, we have controlling our human system because with the development of our pubic parts that we all know,
yes, this high level of hygiene.
Yes, you have to know how to take care of yourself as a girl child, as a boy child. Yes, so I think Discussing the topic sex education at home is something we should make it as any other topic.
You see,
Yeah.
and again, sex education brings to light the diseases that people have, the infections people have in during sexual intercourse. So teaching your kids that okay, there are STDs, there are HIV and AIDS and all the rest, syphilis, gonorrhea, all the stuff that come from bad sexual habits. Teaching them about the diseases they can get infected just because of poor sexual habits. I mean, you will go a long way to teach them that rather than just see on my point now, like I'm saying, rather than just saying that stay away from it. It's I mean it's a little bit vague. When you tell them about the diseases that they
I
can
encounter.
that they can contract,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll go a long way to keep them steady, to keep them in check, to keep them in part. And sex education can also help kids educate other kids. Yes, you can help kids educate other kids. So it's very important as a parent to always teach your children everything that entails about the sexual organ, everything that has to do with sex education, because they can also help other kids that are not exposed to it. Okay, given that I'm from a home wherein you are uncomfortable talking about sex itself, what it's all about, and
Especially,
then
when it comes to these pastors' houses.
okay,
Yes.
a very good
You see,
example. Yes,
pastors' houses, all they can talk about is avoid sex because it's sinful.
it's informal.
Avoid sex because it's sinful. And when you start talking about a topic like sex education, they just know you're from a bad home.
Yeah,
That maybe
wow,
you're not
yes.
well trained.
And that's
You should be scared saying such things among elders, or maybe like you're educating the pastor's child to go and do something which is bad, so that they will bring shame upon the family.
Remember that's supposed to be the case.
Yes.
Mostly, it's very common with Africans. Yeah, we Africans, you know, what we want to discuss about it. Let me just be that thing beside me. But now, give me that. Okay, that's a very good illustration you're giving. Okay, I'm a pastor's son, and my dad has nothing to do when it comes to sexual education. And I'm at mid-year school. Emma, what's sex? What's it all about? I keep hearing about it, and you who have been schooled on it, you'll be able to tell me that, okay, Chris, sexual education, let me tell you about it. You have these parts of your body which you have to clean always because of that, to avoid odor
You have
and
to
all
be
the rest and all the
conscious,
stuff.
yeah.
So you see, educating your kids, viewers, can go a long way to help another kid who is ignorant outside. And you see issues, advent of let me say unwanted pregnancy on
Yes,
the
it
horizon.
it reduces the risks.
Yes.
Yes, unwanted pregnancy. This is so because if normally we get to a certain age like 18, you start having this mutual feelings.
Yes, those
Yes.
hormones start being
Yes,
stimulated, you
yes.
start emitting. Yes.
So, in order to avoid unwanted pregnancy, if you have been educated about sex education, you will now know how to reduce the risks of getting pregnant. Yes. So we have to go in for we have condoms that they want to use, trying the act. Yes.
Yep.
Just to try the act that they know. So I think it's better, like we are being taught in school in biology, this reproduction.
Yeah.
They teach us, they educate us, and they even advise us that in case you want to go in for something like that, knowing that it's not yet time, you can at least go in for your condom so that you know how to properly use it. You are not supposed to be shy, because in order to avoid the trouble of getting pregnant, coming back home and you are being disowned, or maybe you have to go through some trauma. I think it's best you go in for your condom.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're also relying, let's take the issue of, let me illustrate, let me bring this my point out using an illustration. Have you heard about, let me say, anti-venom? Have you heard what do you know what anti-venom is all about? Okay, then let me say, when someone has been bitten by a snake, once you go to the hospital, they inject you with an anti-venom. So in case you have been bitten by a cobra or a black mamba, those are type of snakes. And when you go to the hospital, they are going to give you a dose which contains anti-venom. So now that anti-venom contains, if you want to look at the content of that anti-venom, it has, let me say, a bit of that venom, the normal venom the snake has. Even the medicines you are taking, let me say the vaccinations you are taking has a taste of the virus itself. So what am I trying to bring out here? Once you teach your kids about sexual education, you break that inclusiveness in them to always want to try it before time, because once they already know about it, then they will not want to try it. Once they already know about the negative side of whatever it is that they want to explore, then they will not want to try it. So teaching your child already, teaching him already, planting it in his or her head that, okay, this is what sex is all about. then there is no need. He will not be new to him. He will always be comfortable wanting to discuss about it among his friends.
Because seriously, some parents think that the best way to train a child, especially when it comes to watching movies, is to educate a child about a certain channel. Growing up in our house, we are all girls. So at times, when after we realize that we have come of age that we have to understand the good and the bad, we then had to tell our mom, our kid sisters, we show them they watch movies. They have to be comfortable in watching movies. Because when you say don't watch this, I'll go back and watch it when you're
Yes,
around.
kids are very inquisitive by
Yes,
nature.
you should not train me to watch only one church program. I'm listening to the same gospel every day and now. The world is made up of good and evil. So you have to know the both sides. In case you have to choose one, you choose one because you have chosen that path. So if you have to be switching from, because a child is seated, you have to say no, this, you look at the title of a movie, you know, that movie is no problem. They'll obviously tell you that if you're not up to this age, you should not go in to watch it.
Yes.
But if you see that a child is there when the movie is already going on, you don't have to say leave the parlor. Because the next time I see that child, that same image, that film, I will want to watch it when my mom is not around.
Really?
Yes, because it makes me comfortable
Yes,
to know
that's
that
true.
this thing, okay, I see two adults doing it. So if I'm not up to the age of an adult, I should not go in for it.
And let's talk about still sex education has to do with the physical and biological change. Yes. So now, like for instance, can you throw more light on that? Like the girl, because I've heard of an issue where a girl was experiencing her period for the first time, and you see her running to the hospital to the doctor that she's bleeding. She has no idea. Maybe she has a wound or something.
Okay. Seeing your menstrual flow, you see, it's really nasty because it's something you're not even comfortable with.
Okay.
You as the girl, because
Yes.
it has this odor. That blood has this odor that it brings about. So if you don't know how to take care of yourself, it's going to be an issue.
Yes, going to
Because normally you're not supposed to use your pad for complete 8 hours. You have to ensure that maybe even after 4 or maybe 6 hours, you go in to clean yourself. While removing, you have to wash your private, because you cannot just change your pad and then you take another one you place there. You have to make sure everything you're clean, because the smell is really, the odor is bad.
Yes,
Yes,
so
the odor is
just
bad.
in line, this just goes a long way to help our hygiene, because and then that goes to that's the physical change, that's the biological change I mean to say. Then I want to talk about now the physical changes, like for instance, for the female they start developing breasts and all the rest. You see, as early as maybe let's say college from school, you should start developing all those parts, and you should not feel bad, you should not feel horrible, you should not be ashamed, because these are very normal. So sex education brings kids to understand the normalcy of life. It brings kids to understand what ought to be, what is normal, what they should feel comfortable with. So in line now, I'm talking about one of the greatest, let me say, what parents want to avoid now is unwanted pregnancy. You know, underage pregnancy, it's on the horizon in our society today. So now, this brings me now to the question, abortion. Should abortion be an option, should in case you are gotten into, let me say, unwanted pregnancy? Should abortion really be an option?
I don't think abortion is the best option.
Yes, health-wise, abortion shouldn't be an option because it can cost your life. Because I've heard of cases where the girl, let me say, the process of getting rid of the baby or flushing out the fluid whatsoever led to excessive bleeding, and bam, she lost her life. So,
Because abortion should not be an option.
okay.
Reasons being that you don't know as what the future holds. Yes, because if you had to die, if your mom had to abort you, knowing that she gave birth to you when she was still very young and could not cope with it, I don't think insults can kill any person. Or maybe if you disown me as a parent, maybe I would die. It all depends what the child, will go out there and think of doing after pregnancy.
And just imagine the number of presidents, the more of great men that have been flushed out just due to this process.
Well, and you see, it's
So-
not really an option,
Yes.
because everybody has got a future plan by God before creation. He knows us. He knows what will become. So you aborting a minister, and then thereafter you start saying that, oh God, why me? Why me? The fruit of the womb. Why me? And you don't know that it's because of your acts
Yes,
that you
that's
did.
true.
Because there's nothing you will do in life that will come back to you, one or the other.
And this abortion too can still go a long way to affect you in the long run, in the sense that the girl, in case you get off to have a very bad, let me say, doctor handling your abortion case, it might make you stare for the rest of your life. You can no longer contain a baby, because there are cases of women who can no longer conceive because they had some abortion
That's what I'm
taken in the
saying.
past. And religious wise too, you see, or religiously speaking, abortion is not the best option. I think it's against religion. The Bible stands out completely against
Against
abortion
it,
because
yes.
it's murder. And there are some countries, or there are some law codes that by to sanctioning people because of abortion. They consider it as murder to a certain level.
But at times we will have to accept abortion because
Yes, yes,
we
yes.
have this ectopic
Ectopic
pregnancy.
pregnancy.
Yes, that some people might not be able to carry. So, in order to save another life, in order to save the living life, because you don't
Yes.
know of the person. And our parents will always say, even a child has to die at birth. You need not cry because you don't know that person. You don't know the person. So, but in order to save your own life, ectopic pregnancy, in such cases, is preferable. I think abortion is preferable.
Okay, then there's look at the case of, well, let me say, when an underage get pregnant. Let me say someone of the age of, let me say, 12. Okay, I heard that it's very possible for a girl actually to get
That's so
pregnant.
pathetic.
And given that her organs are not yet fully developed to bear the child, to sustain the child's growth, I think that's when we can go in for the option of abortion. But all the same, we're just trying to put in on the scale, on the balance scale. And as I can remind you, viewers, this is Community Insight, and we are handling the issue of sex education. So, sex education be taught at home. So, I and Emma have been handling it here at the studio. Let's go into the communities and hear what they have to say about this particular topic.
My name is Darren. Okay, my opinion is yes. Sex education should be taught at home because when a child is already mature, they are supposed to tell a child what is good and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. Because if a girl reaches the age of 14, 15, 16, she or he is supposed to know about the sex education. But if you don't talk she or her at home, she go outside. She want to do it. She will not even know how to do it. So it's good to tell her. If you don't educate your girl child or your boy child about sex education, she might go and get pregnant that she does not even know. And you'll be the one that will know. Because if you are telling her about the sex education and about how to take care of it, she will not go and fall into that pit.
Do you think abortion is the best option for a minor pregnancy?
Abortion is not the best option to abort. There are some people that you don't know. God protects the people and give people a life. When I'm aborting now, and she will grow up now and get married, she will not be able to get pregnant again. And will be the cause. And she will always keep thinking, my mother is the one that did this to me. So that's why I could not give birth again. So it's not correct.
I'm called Kina Nazi. Most children now they go astray or they do things that they are not of the age because they do not get a lesson from their parents in the house. So that's why I think they should be taught at home from their parents. So when they are going out, even when they are interacting with their friends, they've got knowledge about it already. Some of the negative consequences is that when they meet with their peers and if they are not taught about sex education, they can go out there and they can get early pregnancy because they are not aware about sex education. So that's why I think they should be taught at home and they should have knowledge about it. That's one of the negative consequences.
Do you think abortion is an option for?
Unwanted pregnancy.
Yes.
For me, abortion is not an option for unwanted pregnancy. Reason being that abortion has a lot of consequences. if a child goes out and carry out abortion and it leads to overbleeding that the person might die. So for me, abortion is not children should not carry out abortion because of unwanted pregnancy. They should keep the pregnancy even if the parents are angry because of the situation that has happened. But due to time, when time goes on, they will calm down and to also take care of the child. So abortion should not be an option for unwanted pregnancy.
Yes, it is good to be taught them, to the parents, to educate their children, because you understand nowadays things are happening where if you don't educate your child at home, they might go astray. For example, a girl child from 11, 12, 15 upward, you have to start tell her what is good and what is not good in relation in the word of God. The Bible says, train up your child in the way he should grow, and when he grows, he will not depart from it. But now in the world now, you have to train your child in the way of God, so that the things that you are teaching him or her in God, he will continue to do it even when he's old. You understand? That is why, because of the environment where we find ourselves, when your child is going out, you don't know where he or she is going to. You know the type of friend you met at the way or at the school. So if you don't educate him or her in the house, they might go astray. The benefit of sex, you know, it is a pleasure. Sex is a pleasure where children nowadays are going into much, even they know or they don't know. You see children for 10 years, 8, 9 years are doing such things. So you have to be educating your child that this thing you are doing like that, first in the eyes of God, is not good. You do like this, you are sinning. You sin against God, your maker, against your parents. It's not good to sin against God. So obey your parents, and then your days will be long according to the word of God. So you have to be making them to understand such things. So you have to educate them. And then now in the era of sex, make know that to do this thing without getting married is not good. Now when you find yourself in doing it, you should not go into it, or let me say you do not like take it like a habit. Like a habit. When you take it like a habit, it will cause you pains at the end. You have to be, maybe you can get pregnant, and in that early age like that, it's not good, because you'll be shame to yourself and to your parents.
In case of unwanted pregnancy, do you think abortion is an option?
That is sin before God. Had it been, or let me say, if your mother could have aborted you, you would have not had the opportunity to come on earth. In your age, whether it is 9 years, you got pregnant, you have to carry it and bear the consequences of it, so that you should have something to tell your children that starting sex in the early age is not good. You understand? When in that age like that, it's not good to abort it, but help the child to understand that this thing that you want to do is not good. Keep it, get the child out at the right time and take care of the child. So it's not good to abort, to do abortion. Because first in the eyes of God, it is sin. So you can want to do it like that, you take your life, you go to hell. You lost your life, you lost the baby's life, and then there's no gain on that.
To me, sex education should be taught at home, yes. And the age from our community, our society now, I think from 11 years up. From 11 years upward, that's why I think sex education should be taught, because our society now has developed in such a way that even children of 10 and 11 years know so many things in sex, which our parents are supposed to guide them and teach them before they really go to puberty stage, that they know what to do at the right time.
What are some of the consequences of not teaching your girl child or boy child about sex education?
Most of them will fall victim of certain circumstances like rape or child abuse. They might be abused without even knowing that they are being abused because they are not. Some of them might fall victim of sexually transmitted diseases. Yes. And some girl children might not even know how to do personal hygiene because their parents didn't teach them about it. So,
In an advent of unwanted pregnancy, do you think abortion is the best option?
it depends on the type of pregnancy and the person who is pregnant. So there are pregnancies like ectopic pregnancy in which that pregnancy is going to cause the person, like first of all it has to go through a major operation which is a life and death situation, and then it will cause the person the womb, the fallopian tube to be cut off, which the person will be unable to conceive ever again. So that's the kind of pregnancy that can be advised to flush out. And it also depends like on a child, that a very tender child that gets pregnant and the person's system cannot carry the child, or maybe the child cannot push out the fetus. Yes. And it also depends on some people's system cannot carry, some people's womb cannot carry a baby. So sometimes the pregnancy might affect the person. The pregnancy might affect the person's life, it can cause a life and death situation in which abortion is an option. But most of the times abortion is not an option, but it depends on the person's medical situation.
Welcome back, viewers. That was Gesa Media for you. The community is always wanting to make sure that everybody has a say in everything. It's our vision here at Gesa Media. So just a quick reminder, we are at Community Insight and we are handling should sex education be taught at home. If you come to realize, Emma, you see that mostly all the persons we sampled stood for the fact that sex education is very healthy and very helpful for our society. And again, for the issue of abortion, this completely stood against it moral-wise, religion-wise, and all the rest. But for the doctor who spoke, on the scientific base, who come to enlighten us why we should go for it, just for some cases. Just in some cases, but all the same, sex education should be something very comfortable to discuss about, and abortion itself should not be an option because of the dangers that lies in between. What do you have to say to us, Emma?
Well, after everything being said based on the interviews, I think parents should realize that bringing their children close to them is the best option. Do not think, or because you went through a past something, your child must go through that same thing. It is advisable that you bring them close to you, make them comfortable around you with any topic that life has to go with. Yes. And some parents, because they want to avoid disgrace, like those who belong to these big groups in church and in other political and social groups, they don't like that. They want to walk past the road and they say, look at that one that was claiming to train her child to become like this. Look at how the child has ended up to be. No, don't think like that. You should not always think that way. Though at times it's painful, because truly you cannot be boring a child to grow up that child to become somebody, and then along the line somebody just comes and derail that child's future. But we should not always think like that, because life has got a lot. It depends on you. If you want to stay back and sit down and wait for people to feed you, but if you stand up, for us the girl children, we have come to realize that we have been sacrificing so much for the boys. In case of unwanted pregnancy, we have to stay back at home, we have to mend the children while you go to school. But no, all of that has been realized that a girl child's education can never be stopped. It can never end because of early pregnancy, if I may say so. Early pregnancy, no, it should not end that way. We have mothers in school, we have breastfeeding mothers in school, because you must attain your goals, you must reach that future that God has for you. So we should know that flushing away those people that would have come to change our lives is not the best option. Yes.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Emma. Okay, viewers, this brings us to the end of today's edition of Community Insight. Do well to like, leave a comment, and subscribe even if you catch us in our next edition. I have been Chris Coffee, collaborating with
Emma Kulena Nwangani.
Catch you.